everyone, welcome to today's session. In this session, we're going to see helper functions. As part of helper functions, we're going to see a function called getEnvironment. It's often required to have environment variable to make some decisions. And this method gets you the value of an environment variable, and based on which is basically stored in the operating system, like a user profile, Java path, or any app path, or any specific thing which is available in the environment variable. We can able to fetch it using this method and take some decision providing some conditions, or use general for reporting purpose so that you can know where you are. So let's see an example in a demo. Welcome back to an example. So before getting into the environment variable, let's see where the environment variables are stored and how do you see it and what is the use of environment variables. So environment variables, to get to environment variables, click on start and go to settings. And in the settings, you have system, click on system, and in system, you have about, and in about, you can find advanced system setting, and you can see a system property dialog box, and you can find an environment variable. This is one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is you can just search for advanced system settings. So you can just click on this and this particular same dialog box opens. So these are two ways you can open it. When you open it, the system property, and under advanced, you can click on environment variable. This lists you all the environment variables which we were talking about. So environment variable consists of two things. One we call user variables, which is over here, and we have system variables. So get environment will fetch you the system variable information, which is this one, and what all the values which you see over here, you can able to fetch this. So this is the variable name and this is the value. So you just provide the variable name as a parameter and you can get the values for it. Let's see an example. How do we fetch it and how do we display it? Let's see an example. How do we use it? So I'll keep it over here and I'll start Notepad++. So Notepad++ was launched. So I'm going to just make it a little bigger so that we can able to see both the things. So let's get started. Tagui Helper functions and getEnvironment. Let's save this into desired folder. So I'm going to save it in all the examples where we have. So I'm going to save it as getEnv.tag and save. So let's just use this environment variable values or get environment system variable values, and you can just provide a method saying echo, and we can just you can store it in a variable, or you can just directly use it by providing this. You can say get env and you provide your variable name. So in this case, let's start with this the variable name as temp. I'll go with the start with the temp and see what the value of temp is. It should display whatever you see it on the screen. So temp is the value of, so we can say and close it, say temp. So this is basically gives you a temp folder location. I can say, hey, echo OS, and you can just specify OS. So we have a OS here. Yeah. So let's try to do the small example and then we'll take a decision based on that. Okay, let's save this and minimize this, and let's come back and to start search for command prompt. So you can search for command prompt and click on command prompt. The command prompt navigate to the location where you have saved your getEnv.tag. So I have saved it in this location. So say Tagui and you can say getEnv.tag, and let's just make it big because we don't need a browser here, and we can see if the values are displayed correctly or not. So we have all the values here, and let's just bring it out front. And I'm going to run it in a hidden mode, which is -h, so that I don't want to launch a browser because we are not going to basically use browser in any way. So let's hit enter. Let's start it. And you can see the value. It is able to fetch the values, which is temp value, which you can see here. And you have the same temp value over here. And it also was able to fetch OS value, which is over here. And it is again over here, which is a OS value. So now we have this one. So you can give any of the values and take decisions accordingly. If you want to get a username, you can say echo what is the username, and based on the user logged in with privileges, you can take decision or add information to your branches to your code and perform validations. So we'll see a small example and we'll take it up from there. Username and close. So if get env and OS contains Windows, then echo Windows OS and launch Windows version. You can say HTTP else or launch non-Windows version of the same website. So you can take such decisions. Let's say this and let's try to execute it. And you can say I'm out 5 seconds. Okay, so let's just execute this. Let's come back and here I'll remove the -h because we are going to have a browser launched based on the OS type decision, right? So I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to move here in the corner, make it a little small, and let's execute it by saying hit enter. So Chrome browser is launched. So it looks like there is a syntax error. Yes, there is a syntax error. It cannot be double quotes. It has to be single quotes. So let's remove the single quotes and save. And let's come back again and execute it. So Chrome browser is launched. It's navigating to the site based on the OS. So the OS is Windows OS is launched, or Windows version will be launched now. And website is completely launched, and then it basically got exited. So you can take such decisions based on the environment variable, and you can make your bot script more generic based on operating system. If you are running in a Mac, it should behave differently. So you can basically define your different behavior. If it is running in a Linux, you can basically have a different behavior. So you can fetch various details, and based on the processor, if you want to have a synchronization done, you can fetch processor details. Based on the process architecture, if you want to go and navigate something differently, you can do that. So this is pretty helpful, taking those decisions, fetching those values. So this concludes our helper function get environments. Thanks for watching. See you in another one.